The grandparents and grandchildren meet for the first time. The grandmother said that her 7-year-old granddaughter was her daughter who had been missing for 20 years. The granddaughter even nodded her head repeatedly. Sarah's head was spinning. Is it possible that her mother and daughter are both crazy? But they were so excited. It was like a mother and daughter were reunited after a long time. The more she thought about it, the more scared she became. She wanted to take her daughter and leave her grandmother, but Mia screamed and refused to leave. Shara had to force the two apart. She put her daughter in the car and fastened her seatbelt. Her daughter fiercely resisted and insisted on staying with her grandmother. She even kicked her mother hard. Shara was enraged. She slammed the car door with force. She accidentally caught her daughter's tender little hand. She was distressed and wanted to apologize, but then her daughter opened her seatbelt. She left without saying a word. Thinking about her daughter's behavior, Shara wondered if her daughter was being bullied. She went to Mia's teacher and asked her about it. Instead, the teacher produced a horrific painting. She thought her child might be suffering from anxiety, needs professional psychological treatment, but instead of taking her daughter to a doctor, she took Mia to the beach. She wanted to know what was really going on inside her daughter. Her daughter said, in one word, "I'm not the person I used to be. I'll be your sister Alice." Shara couldn't believe it, but the way Mia was acting and talking, she didn't act like a 7-year-old. Sarah was at her wit's end, remembering how kids always talk to each other. She called her ex-husband's current wife, asking her son if he knew anything. He said a lot of strange things. Could it be that your father's death? It brought back memories of the past. Sarah listened in confusion, but the more she missed her father, the more she missed him. But then her daughter became more and more eccentric. She had scary drawings all over the house. Shara became more confused. She called her ex-husband for help. Her ex-husband suggested that she should take Mia to see her grandmother again. Instead of doing so, she took Mia to the old house. As soon as she arrived, she found a figure standing on the other side of the river. By now her daughter had opened the door. This is very strange. How did her daughter know where the key was hidden? Could she really be the reincarnation of her sister's soul? While thinking, the figure had disappeared in a flash. And what's even more strange is that Mia seemed to know the old house very well. She was as excited as if she had returned to her own home. On the contrary, Salad was the opposite. Mia immediately found Alice's room, and she insisted on staying here. Shara doesn't agree. Her daughter screamed and screamed. She yelled at her mother for being so horrible. To ease the relationship between mother and daughter, in the evening Shara took the initiative to mention her sister. Mia was excited to take off her mask. She found out that Alice had disappeared when she was 7 years old. She said she was exactly 7 years old this year. She was the Alice who had returned. Shara couldn't take it anymore. She begged her daughter to stop. Mia, on the other hand, gets emotional. She kept yelling that she was Alice. Then she turned and ran back to her room. Shara went after her and found her daughter's blanket was covered in blood. She opened the covers. She had a nosebleed. The old house was too weird. Shara wanted to pack her things and take her daughter away, but the moment she reached for her pen, she found blood on her hands. But in the blink of an eye, it disappeared again, and the wound where her daughter had been bitten by a rabbit. Septic infection more serious. In order to find out the truth about everything, she brought her daughter to see her grandmother again. By this time, the grandmother was already conscious. She recognized Mia as her granddaughter, but Mia was very angry. She kept emphasizing that she was Alice. Grandma was confused. Shara was about to stop her daughter, but her daughter slapped her back. She knew she couldn't go on like this. She went back and tried again to communicate with her daughter. This time she satisfied Mia's curiosity. She began to talk about Alice's past. Her sister had freckles and dark curly hair, but her personality was the opposite of her own. She likes to adopt stray animals. One of her favorites is a rabbit. She also likes to play hide and seek. No sooner had she said this than the lights suddenly flickered strangely, and Mia's quote is even more amazing.